have an insurance market cocktail event. This evening, we are here to explore, learn, and really celebrate innovation. With us today, we have startups, we have industry leaders, we have experts, players in different sectors, and we will all embark on a journey on the current trends and possibilities within the insurance sector and the larger financial sector. On this platform, today is where insurance really meets technology. Now, this demo day aims to celebrate the progress and potential of the final 5 selected startups over the course of the ZEP-RE InsurTech program, which has been incubated by Vestervel Startup House Kigali. And moreover, it also aims to foster conversations around InsurTech and its role in increasing insurance penetration, and also to facilitate networking and knowledge exchange among the attendees, which will have plenty more time right after the program today during the cocktail. My name is Naringwa Fiona Mothoni, and I'm delighted to be your host for today. To get us started, I'd like to welcome Alex Uwase, Senior Key Account Manager at ZEPRE, to deliver the welcome remarks. If we could have a warm round of applause as she comes forward.
Thank you, Fiona. Distinguished CEOs from insurance industries, esteemed leaders from the greater financial sector, our valued partners, innovators, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. On behalf of our CEO and the entire ZEPRE team, it's my distinct honor to extend a warm welcome to each one of you to this exceptional event. Your presence not only honors us, but also serves as a testament to the significance of the work we are collectively engaged in as we come together to celebrate the power of collaboration and innovation that drives our industry forward. In 2022, November, we hosted an innovation roundtable with the insurance industry, insurers, brokers, the regulator, InsurTechs, the government officials who are around, key players in the financial sector, to discuss the state of insurance sector in Rwanda, but also Africa at large. The future of the insurance sector in Africa, the trends, the challenges, and the solutions that we saw across the world. We also discussed innovation in the insurance sector, microinsurance, and financial inclusion. At the end of the discussion, ZEPRE committed to set up an innovation hub in Rwanda, whose focus is to develop the InsurTech solutions for the industry. In January, ZEPRE entered into partnership with Vestervel. Vestervel is an entrepreneurship hub that supports innovation ecosystem in Rwanda through incubation, capacity building, networking, opportunities, and then access to infrastructure. Following this, a campaign was launched. We received applications from 91 startups who met some criteria that we had set. In March 2023, we had a 3-day hackathon, which was held with a team being introduced to the insurance industry. Then the insurance raised the issues that are in the insurance industry. They then challenged to submit the ideas to the solution and to submit ideas for the solutions as solutions to those problems. And during this process, 31 startups were selected. At the end of the hackathon, the teams presented their work, and 5 teams were selected to proceed as part of the incubation process. In April 2023, the 5 startups started the incubation process. This process has included introducing the startup to the insurance sector, helping them sharpen their business plans, as they learn to be customer-centric, provisions of legal advice and training on basic legal procedures for starting company, product development support, expert talks with key players in the InsurTech ecosystem. Each startup had a mentor who's senior in the area they were in. The role of the mentor has been to help guide these innovators in the right direction, answer questions, share expertise, and challenge their process. The incubation period saw the 5 companies being hosted and provided with office space, internet, and a community of other innovators. This alone has seen at least 25 people employed in the building market-ready solutions. Today, you will meet the 5 finalists who have been through an intense and intentional process. You will hear what they have been able to come up with, at least for the last few months. I'm so excited to be witnessing Rwanda being the firstborn, the trendsetter to this initiative, and I hope you are too. As we embark to this activity, I invite you all to embrace the spirit of camaraderie, exchange of ideas that has the potential to shape the future of our industry and the sector. I encourage each one of you to listen, engage in meaningful conversation, forge new connections, and explore the opportunities shared here. Once again, welcome. Brakazaneza.
Thank you so much, Alice, for really taking us through the whole journey and giving us really the whole reason why ZEP-RE InsurTech program is crucial. Indeed, there is need to develop InsurTech solutions for the industry, and I am very excited. The 5 finalists are here, and we'll be getting to hear the pitches shortly. I really hope you're all excited and you give them the energy they require, because, yeah, it's not an easy thing. So we're now going to get into the next session of today's program. We're going to dive right into the panel discussion that will be on looking at Africa Beyond Risk. How do we ensure financial inclusion and ensure maximum impact? I'm going to call our panelists one by one, and as they walk to the stage, just give them a warm round of applause to get them ready to dive into this conversation. Our first panelist we have is the CEO of Rwanda Finance Limited, Nick Barije. A round of applause as he comes. Up next, we have the Managing Director and CEO of ZEPRE, Hope Murera. A round of applause as she comes. Up next, we have Jan Bosco Iachu, CEO, Access to Finance Rwanda. And finally, we have Kevin Rudahinduka, CEO of Edencare. I'm excited to dive right into this panel. I think I'll just start with you, Hope. We're here pretty much because of you, the whole team, and everything, the vision that you also have. Why has ZEP-RE embarked on this journey of innovation, and in particular, why Rwanda?
I'm biased. Thank you so much. This is a place we needed to come to. I think in our history of 30 years, it's the right place we needed to come to. We were set up to develop the insurance industry in the region, the commercial region and beyond. And along the way, we defined what does develop mean in the industry. And at the beginning, it was about providing capacity, reinsurance capacity to the insurance companies, and we do that. We provide reinsurance capacity for everybody and the service. It was about training, right? But the question remained, how are we creating that impact? How are we bridging the penetration gap? You all know, or some of you know, that to date, insurance penetration is between 1 and 2% in sub-Saharan Africa, the contribution to the GDP. So we say then we are not making sense. We need to go beyond and figure out what is that is blocking the contribution of insurance into the financial sector. And it brought us to innovation and technology as one of the areas that needed to unlock, because insurance distribution is very expensive, right? And it doesn't reach the majority of our people. Products that are relevant to most of our people were not, therefore, accessible and visible. So it was our way of defining development includes a kick into towards the right areas and technology and following the world. So 5, 6, 7 years ago, we started by having CEO breakfast meetings. And we wanted to tell them, we wanted to show them where the world was around technology. We partnered with McKinsey as a resource, and we took them through, some of the, the lemonades of this world, what was going on. We did it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and nothing was still coming out. So we decided we were going to do it. We said we were going to do it to develop and catalyze innovation, digitization that support not only the insurance industry, but the ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, we want to be part of the whole financial inclusion. Hashtag, there's no financial inclusion without insurance.
Yeah.
In a long way, that's why we're here.
Definitely, and we'll get more into that, but I want to bring Nick into the conversation. As we are aware, the insurance sector is partly part of the larger financial sector, and even the numbers that Hope has shared with us. So Nick, could you share some specific strategies and initiatives that the Rwanda Finance Limited is implementing to promote financial inclusion, especially for underserved communities?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I want to add to a statistic that Hope raised. She talked about insurance penetration in Africa being less than 2%. For the case of Rwanda, another stat that is quite interesting is that financial sector's contribution to GDP is under 3%. Now, majority of you could have heard of Rwanda's Vision 2050, an aspiration to become a high-income country. Now, if you appreciate that finance plays a very critical role to any nation's development, then it begs to ask the question, what needs to be done to increase financial sector's contribution to the real economy's development? And the institution that I'm a member of, which is Rwanda Finance, has that mandate of positioning Rwanda as an international financial center. And it's one of the initiatives, the strategies that government is looking to contribute to the growth of the financial sector, to the diversification of the financial sector, but equally as important, to the attraction of more capital, more sources of capital into the financial sector. Now, for that to happen, it has called for several initiatives to be done. One of them is around creating an environment that catalyzes, that creates that growth. And that has been both legal and tax policy frameworks that have been amended of recent. Several, to name a few, is we've looked back to say, how is investment being done today? One of the vehicles that we see is there's a lot of focus around sustainable finance, impact investing, and a couple of vehicles that are being used are foundations, just to name a few. So among the amendments that have been done is to allow for those investment structures to now happen in Rwanda. It's to look at those different forms of capital to happen in Rwanda. We believe that Kigali International Financial Center, that vision to diversify the financial services sector so that it can create more impact on the real economy, will inevitably lead to further financial inclusion. So it's a journey that we've been on for the last 2.5 years. I see different members within the audience. It's an ecosystem. It's about insurance, it's about banking, it's about microfinance, it's about saving, it's about the capital markets. But it's also about having the right talent to be able to offer diverse services and products in the market. So that's the contribution in terms of what strategies the government is undertaking and what the role of Kigali International Financial Center plays within this space.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, just still staying with you, that you've shared some of the larger initiatives, but how do they really trickle down to create impact on ground, even just looking at contributing to a more inclusive and equitable financial landscape? If you could just narrow it down a bit more.
To give a few examples, one of the things that we are working towards too is attraction of other forms of capital beyond what we currently have on the market. We are seeing, when I talk about investment vehicles, there are structures. We have funds that are domiciling in Rwanda, and they are providers of equity as another source of capital to supplement what is already there on the market. Now, these instruments are looking at SMEs. They are looking at, there are some that have a lens on female-founded businesses, because that's part of where we see exclusion happening. Some are looking at youth-led businesses. We have a fund that has been announced. We are hoping to make a bigger announcement. It's called Timbuktu. It's championed by UNDP. It's going to be a fintech-focused fund. And the thing is, when we talk about fintech, it shouldn't be only seen as payments. It's also about InsurTech, it's about agri-tech, it's about health tech. And these are some of the thematic areas that this fund is going to be providing catalytic capital that enables the scale of these startups. Because what we see is that the ideas, we have people, both youth, women who have ideas, but the challenge is how to monetize them. So the role of an international financial center that we are building partly is to attract different forms of capital, and that's how it supplements other initiatives that speak to financial inclusion. Those are some of the examples that I would give. Thank you.
Yeah, I think before I go to Bosco and Kevin, I'd like to circle back to you, Hope. He's given us a clear picture, but I just want to understand, what are some of the current trends that we're seeing in the sector, and how are they really shaping the entire industry at large?
There is a question I didn't answer, and that is why Rwanda. I just want to go back a little bit. And it is what Anik is talking about. I think definitely Rwanda has provided the leadership in innovation, right? Whether it is around the investments in regulatory framework, having regulators with sandbox, enabling people to innovate. I remember talking to one of the people that have invested here. It was the first place they could get a license for a digital insurance company. So we have an innovation-friendly environment. We have an aspiration of a government to be the hub for financial services, for technology, and the investment within even the connectivity and all that make Rwanda very, very important. But I think the most important thing that we saw is the population in Rwanda. You have a group of young people, many of them that are in here, that really is the next leadership, the next generation will be the people that run these industries. So it was a very easy thing for us to have Rwanda with the intention to incubate and grow in the region. So the trends that we are seeing, definitely the change makers are the ones that invest in technology, without doubt. And this is across the continent, this is across the world. If you see once in a while the kind of money that is being raised by fintechs, by even some InsurTechs, it tells you that that is something you need to keep an eye on very, very hard. And this is how are you going to unlock all the way the value chain from your onboarding, product development, claims payment. How are you going either to be creating value or reducing cost, right? So that is one trend that brings us to this place, indeed. The other trend is what we nearly all talk about, which is the ecosystem. That you cannot view insurance in your own corner. It is about partnering with everybody else. We've seen that you need to partner with seed manufacturers, soda manufacturers. You need to have micro-insurance and microfinance linkages. You need to have banks as your partners where insurance de-risks their ability to loan into markets that usually will not be there. So you need to think partnerships, right? You need to think technology, you need to think partnerships. The other big one that is also addressed here is about what are those skills needed for the future. And internally in ZEPRE, I always say, the incumbents will not innovate. That is not fair, right? Bernard is laughing. But we are in such a comfort zone. and one of the reasons we actually bring these people is, can we get those disruptive ideas that can shake this industry? I remember, I think it was the insurance conference in Rwanda years back when the then CEO of Safaricom, the late Bob Korimo, said, you guys, if you don't do this, we are going to do it for you. So that is happening. Technology companies, the Googles of this world, the Apples of this world are doing insurance. You don't even know where that is going. So those are the trends happening that we will have to force ourselves to find the partnership, provide them with a value proposition that makes us part of that and tie in. Yeah.
You've given us a larger outlook, trends that are happening within the continent as well as also globally. I just want maybe to pinpoint down to seeing the industry right now. How are these trends really influencing the strategies of insurance companies? Are we seeing them being integrated? And how is ZEPRE approaching this, adapting to stay ahead in the dynamic changing environment?
Yeah, so we're seeing that. We're seeing the insurance industry coming maybe slower than we would want, but we're seeing some trends, maybe mainly run by most of the multinational insurance companies on the continent. There's a lot of catch-up to happen. I think there's been a bit of awareness coming up that there's need to build an ecosystem. I think at the end of the day, those are the choices we're going to have to make. One of the examples I give also before is that the market in Rwanda, 50%, 60% is motor insurance. How do we innovate around motor insurance? When there's a cabinet meeting and they talk about insurance, it's always about motor insurance. And I'm like, how many Rwandans actually own a car? So how do we make ourselves relevant? And that's what ZEPRE is trying to do, that we have to provide the required solutions. We have a fund just for investing in InsurTechs, and we've done that. We've invested in medical technologies, we've invested in agriculture, in motor telematics, and it's ongoing. So part of what we'll be doing with some of the innovators is to invest and support them to scale up. And I'm hoping the industry at large will also do the same.
Yeah. Jean Bosco? Now to you, kindly just do take us some of the strategies that we're seeing within Access to Finance Rwanda, what it's currently employing to enhance the inclusive insurance market and promote financial resilience, especially among the underserved communities.
Yes, thank you very much for having me and being part of this very important conversation. For those who don't know Access to Finance Rwanda, we are a market facilitator and catalyst to ensure that, to ensure everyone in the ecosystem is playing their role so that the market develops. And what we've seen, as the others have said, the enabling environment is there, but probably we are not seeing traction and enough growth in the insurance sector. So as a market facilitator, we start with evidence. We produce every 4 years a Finiscope report that always come up with thematic reports. Since 2016, we deliberately decided to produce an inclusive insurance thematic report. And these are nationwide survey. When we asked Rwandese, most of them adult, I remember in 2016, we had 8.5% who said, yes, we have some form of insurance. 2020, when we went back, they said we had 17%. But when you look at, and here we are excluding really Mutuelle de Santé, the community-based health insurance scheme. Now, when you look back at what has happened since then, you find that most of them, they are claiming that they have some form of insurance because either they are using some informal mechanisms or they are smallholder farmers, part of the National Agriculture Insurance Scheme that was co-designed with the government and us, or they have abandoned insurance, life cover, on Heza, and they are saving. So you see that change and you can trigger, I mean, you can see the trigger or what actually has enabled this. Now, when we saw all that, we approached the regulator and said, well, you know, regulators these days, they no longer have the single mandate of financial stability, but also they should actually, and they are working towards that, to develop the market so that they can regulate a growing market. And clearly, you see that mindset across board. Now, one aspect that was clear was that most insurers were concentrated on few segments. And those are corporates and some mandatory kind of policies. Now, when you talk to them, you say, well, but there's a whole mass that needs insurance. That time, we didn't have a specific microinsurance regulation. So we went ahead and worked with the central bank to put in place that microinsurance regulation and and worked with BNR to enhance capacity on how to regulate that. We thought that wasn't enough, and actually we mobilized the entire industry in one room to say, well, what do you need to actually produce or to have products that speak to the needs of low-income people across Rwanda? And most of them were interested because also the regulation was permitting. And that's actually the time central bank put it up when they had put a ban to new licenses in the insurance sector. You understand the willingness actually to be more inclusive. And we supported some insurers, and I'm so glad that when we are having these discussions, in fact, one CEO decided to convince the shareholders to put aside a capital for a microinsurance firm that really focuses on low-income people. And the other insurers set up units that are focusing on inclusive insurance. So we shouldn't say that really nothing is happening, but there's something happening, and we need to grow that, which is great. So there's a movement. Now, talking about disruption, I think disruption is needed, and technology can enable that, and partnerships can enable that. And I know for a fact that whether we want it, that disruption will happen. I always give an example of those years when we had few banks here in Rwanda, and we had the market opening. When some regional banks came, a lot changed in the landscape. Some requirements changed because of competition. So we need disruptors, and I think the InsurTechs will do that, and we are so glad to support them in that journey.
Indeed, it is important to recognize the efforts. The journey has been long, and the journey still continues. Kevin, to bring into the conversation, you bring more of a unique perspective. You moved from the banking sector now to the insurance sector. What are the main differences that you're observing between the two sectors?
Thank you. Yeah, I think moving from banking to insurance, I think my first shock is feeling like we are doing banking back in 2008, but but nevertheless, there's quite you know a lot of opportunities, and I would say challenges which comes along. But just to name a few, I think one of the things that we've seen from a banking perspective that is so different, you know, from an insurance, is that, you know, banks, you pretty much interact with customers every day, and which is quite contrary with the insurance. And there's the agencies, the brokers. So by the time the customer gets to you, pretty much the telephonic conversation has broken down. And I think that gives the banks a leverage that the customer is pounding and knocking on the door, and we don't get to sleep in that perspective. So the customer, this is what they want. And you get to know how to actually solve their problem and how to actually get to be part of it. And we've seen this also on the side of, being in the digital health side. We started with the healthcare, at the same time giving, cover for the groups. But then the employers are like, okay, we are spending so much trying to take care from a healthcare perspective, but we don't see things getting better, but you're spending. So where's the biggest challenge? And the biggest challenge comes with the NCDs, to prevent. So we need to find a way, how do we prevent people to actually get into the hospitals? And that's where we ended up picking up our second product, which is, called Proactive. Can we work alongside our groups to actually come up with ways, how do you prevent actually some of these things, because we know largely a huge population dies, from NCDs, and if we can prevent, we can actually get better. So that aspect, I think the bank seems to be, they do it very well, and now with the use of technology, we've seen it's even become much more, the difference is now becoming very small. Some people actually don't know the bank. Me working in the bank, I hardly ever visited the branch unless I'm going to go talk to them to find what's the problem, what solutions we put in place. But these things are already there. So how do we make that happen for the insurance? And that's where we get to hear from, the young, the entrepreneurs, and tell us how do we bridge up that gap. The other element that I would say the banks have really done very well, it comes into the innovation. So the banks pretty much, if there's something that doesn't exist, they will look for a fintech. They will look for a company to be able to partner and solve the problem. And that's something I think, again, also from an insurance perspective, how do you borrow that, working with the fintechs, the InsurTechs, to actually leverage that and quickly, solve the problem. And it goes back to the other first problem. There's pressure from the customer. I want this. So how do you quickly get it done? And we've seen now even banks going away from specifically wanting to get those fintechs, but now bringing the fintech thinking into the DNA of the bank, so that you can I release something new for my customer every 2 weeks? That's a journey, but some banks are able to do it. And lastly, I think comes in two elements. I think risk management and operational efficiency. A lot of the technology, I think with the banks, they're able to quickly mitigate some of these things by at least partnering with the players that are able to do. And those are some of the things I think, from the learnings that you can be able to pick and say, how do you quickly borrow and ensure that now insurance cuts across to everyone? It becomes easier, it becomes affordable, that people can be able to be reached. And I think the biggest advantage we have is that everyone you're holding it in your hands. It's this computing power that we have on the phone, and this can actually make wonders, even though we are still at 23% in Rwanda with the smartphone. But slowly, if we get to 90, we can actually see a lot of things change, because now you're interacting directly with the customer.
The differences you've mentioned, you've also just highlighted some of the key things that maybe the insurance sector can adopt from the banking sector. Hope I'll bring the conversation back to you. What metrics should be used to measure social impacts of these insurance initiatives? What role does ZEPRE's Innovation Hub really play in this? And I think Kevin touched a bit on it.
So we are being measured differently, right? Whether we want it or not. At the end of the day, today my board wants to see what is the size of the new business. It is a metric that I'm measured on. And this is something that will slowly get into each one of you's boards if it's not there. And how are we creating that value? And really, there is no distinction between your growth and the impact you're creating. If it's going to be sustainable, it means that you have a business model that actually returns money to shareholders. There is sometimes the feeling that, or impact, doing good means I'm not delivering value. The reverse is true. Because one of the biggest problems that we have in insurance is the loyalty index, right? If people move from one insurance company to another. So what are those things that we are going to be seen to stand for that makes a certain group of people keep with us and stay with us? So if you think about Ejoheza, which ZEPRE is involved in on the insurance side, with Sonarwa Life, it's creating impact, it's bringing numbers, right? If you think about the National Agriculture Insurance Scheme, it's creating impact, it's bringing numbers, millions of dollars. So that is a metric that definitely has to get into our boardrooms, into our management tables. How are we changing lives, and how are we creating our next market? Because the existing market is done. The insurance, the people here will tell you the undercutting that happens, and and everybody's trying to figure out how to get a piece of the existing thing, so therefore the piece is shrinking. So you can only do better if you innovate and get into better spaces, the underserved, the unserved, and carve a space for yourself, because that is more sustainable. And the fastest way to that is through technology. So that is what we think at ZEPRE very, very strongly, that if we can be the catalyst, if we can bridge the gap between the innovators and the insurance industry. When I was talking to the young people before this started, I can see the excitement even that the door has been opened into insurance companies. They used to knock and no one listened. So something has happened already, a shift has happened. And we hope you can take advantage of that to be able to create your next growth, which definitely will determine your ROE, to your shareholders, and then the numbers of the lives you're impacting. They are all very aligned.
I think, Kevin, I'll just come back to you. Earlier on, you touched on the power that lies within having a smartphone. And I just want to just touch on that, as well as also just going further with what Hopper said on looking at the demographics. Young people are a larger percentage within the continent. So how can digital platforms and these mobile technologies really be leveraged to reach wider audiences? How could we do it?
Thank you. There are a number of ways I think we can look at from not just insurance, but I think largely. But even before touching on those particular, they are very common. We pretty much use them every day. It's the mobile apps, it's the portals, it's the digital onboarding, it's the AIs that we want. But in reality, how do we make it practical to work? And I think this is the biggest challenge. It's nice to have a mobile, but there is a foundation, a mobile app that will engage with your customer, but there's a foundation that goes beyond to actually make it work. And I think those are the rails we need to look at, and we need to look at and say, okay, do we have the skills, in place? Are we empowering, the society to actually engage into how do we come up with robust, proper mobile apps that are secure, that are meeting customer experience, that are user-friendly. And when I mention people, because everything we do is based on people. And as much as we can automate, it all will start with us drawing on a piece of paper, what are we going to automate? And for me, that's, I think, the biggest we all share, whether you come from what sector. I think that's something powerful to look at. And then secondly, the tools to make these things happen. Are we looking at the security? Are we looking at the cloud computing? I'm sure some of you have heard Oracle is trying to do something or a cloud computing handler. It's a great improvement. It's a great, something that we've been looking for. Hopefully we'll get the others. But someone may wonder, what does it really bring on the table? What does it change? And this is where we look at our mobile apps being available, maybe 99.59s. And that enhances that experience, because if our member goes to the hospital and they're trying to use the app and it's not available, then you can imagine they won't get the service. So those are some of the rails that are crucial to look at. The tools are in place, or the technologies are there. But for me, I feel the biggest rails that now we need to really focus on, I think some of them, Nick, talked about the funding side, but now invest into the people, and can we make the tools work? And when I say the tools, the cloud, the platform as a service, the software as a service, all that, they really help us. How quickly can we get to the end user? And I usually compare it. So our office is in Nosken, and when I look at the effort it would have taken for me to hire a cleaner to think of cleaning services, I don't think about it. Or is the desk broken, or is the chair needs to be fixed? I don't get to think about it, because you're just sitting in a rented space where everything is just taken care of. While the model, if you are doing it traditionally, you're actually thinking about all those things, which at the end of the day, they bring you, your level of thinking to focus on your product is limited. While today I can walk in, I don't need to worry about what security, the security guard, the cleaning and everything around it, because simply you'll walk in and put your seat, you have your, and start thinking. And that's, and the reason why I'm bringing that notion, it is what the cloud brings on the table. In reality, I don't have to think when I'm creating a product, how am I going to power up this server? How am I going to back up this? I don't think about it, because I'm going to wake up trying to code or trying to design that new product. And those for me are those crucial elements that we need to enable and give to the entrepreneurs to quickly scale. Instead of thinking of large capital raising, you start thinking of how can I run something for 1 month and shut it down, because that's the power you need only. You don't need to buy the power for 3 years and you get to use it maybe in the next 6 years. So that whole investment goes to really a waste. And I hope we can continue to invest in such. Thank you.
The tools are there, but we need to figure out the practicality aspect of it. I'm going to ask 2 last questions, but before I do that, I'd like to just inform you all that really the conversation exceeds beyond this stage. We want to also hear from you. So after the last 2 questions, we'll open the floor. If you have a question, if you have any comment that you'd like to contribute, just feel free. We'll have protocol in the room who will also just hand you the microphone. So, Nick, to come to you, earlier on you just took us through some of the strategies that are in place, but how can Rwanda's vibrant innovation ecosystem really actively engage with your organization? What opportunities really exist for startups, innovators, tech entrepreneurs?
In June this year, we convened an international conference, called it Inclusive FinTech Forum. And it had diverse themes around it. One of it was around issues of capital, because again, you have an idea, you need to make sure that you can bring this idea to life. Part of bringing it to life is that you need to avail capital. The other thematic area was around regulation. And the third, as equally important, was around skills and capacity building. So what we are looking to continue to do is convene, create opportunities of convening, bringing together different stakeholders so that they can dialogue and see that there are some traction that comes out of that dialogue. We've been working together as an ecosystem on a couple of things. One, there is a fintech strategy that is in the pipeline that is officially going to be launched. there's a Startup Act, and now we are talking about different pools of capital. And finally, we are talking about skills and capacity building for the entire sector. We just recently set up a Financial Sector Skills Council, and this council has representation from both public and private, and its mandate is to see what are these skills, the skills for the future, but where do we have gaps? What interventions need to happen? So those are the avenues that I see entrepreneurs plugging into through those different forums that are being created. They are there. It's now to continue to build momentum around them, create awareness around them as we bring in more stakeholders.
I think, Jean Bosco, I'll just ask you also the same question. Take us through some of the collaboration opportunities when you look at the support mechanism that Access to Finance Rwanda really provides to the larger innovation ecosystem.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll probably start with the statement around, you don't know what you don't know. And it's clear. Tech people know how to code. Insurers, they know insurance business. How do you connect those dots? And I think there's a huge opportunity, and I thank ZEP-RE for really organizing these kind of forums. I think the other day we had the FinTech Friday, exactly discussing about, there's something happening around insurance because it was also about InsurTech. And clearly, I think there's an important point to make here, which is really, you are an insurer and you have challenges in your business. You have processes that are not working. You have issues actually with reaching out to the underserved or unserved. Then there's a fintech with some brilliant ideas on how to actually reach them. So why don't you talk? Why don't you come openly and say, probably we need to give that safe space where if there's a need to sign an NDA, we do that. But share those hurdles, because we know there are young people that would have solutions to those problems. So I think here you don't know something and the other doesn't know the other. How do you come together to address that? So I think creating those platforms, I see that as an opportunity that we can probably collaborate on with ZEPRE to continue bringing that space and putting it in there to facilitate those innovations. That actually innovations that address the real problems, real needs in the market. So the second thing is, Nick alluded to it, the fintech strategy. Beyond the strategy, we have, in collaboration with Mini ICT and Rwanda Finance, BNR, Capital Market Authority, to actually design a roadmap. Very brilliant ideas and recommendations. So to what I'm saying, and clearly looking at the different, types of fintechs, including actually InsurTech. What are the needs? What can policymakers do? What can regulators do? What can market actors do? What can investors do to make sure that the market is flourishing? So I think that's very important. And indeed, Nick has a secretariat that will be coordinating all that to see how to support innovators in this space. So I think there are some small grants and TA for these innovators that are coming up with ideas, and we are sponsoring that. But clearly we want to move beyond that. For those who were there in the FinTech Friday, I said we don't want to see entrepreneurs that live on grants for years and years. We need them to grow and be actually investment ready and private capital to come in. And I think that's very critical if you want to scale. So that's another opportunity. We have created what we call Terimbere SME Village. It was a facility that really those that have crossed the MVP we want to support you to be investment ready. And there are so many investors. In this room, I can see them. And they are looking for a pipeline, it's not there. So, but who is supporting you? So we want to come and bridge that gap, to support you with proper service providers that can make you investor ready. And banks are ready to support, private sector capital market actors are ready to support, and that's very critical. And you know why? The reason why I see that as a need is because I talked to a few CEOs of banks, and they told me, when you set up that facility, please, we have a list of those we declined the last 6 months. We shall just give those lists, you start with those. So that's a need, and we want to support on that space. So the last one is probably to ensure that we provide the evidence, data. Because really, when you have data, then you know where the problem is. And I think those conversations have started. I'll invite the InsurTech to talk to us so that they are part of this conversation that we are facilitating, which is really the inclusive insurance development roadmap. We want to look at the challenges that are in the sector, formulate recommendations, and see whether actually players in the market can resolve them. And I believe these technology companies in this space would actually address some of the problems that we identify. So come talk to us, and we are happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. A positive note to conclude this panel on. We're now going to open the floor to questions or any contribution. If we have any, kindly just do raise your hand, and someone will bring you the microphone. Do we have any questions? Oh, we have a question here at the front. If you could kindly... Okay. Do tell us your name, the organization you're with, and who you intend to answer your question.
Name is Philip Gasatura. Not a question, but a comment. I think, as Hope put it, the insurance does face a steep challenge in trying to get people. One of the things that Kevin alluded to was technology is not the silver bullet. It's a distribution tool to what was already there. Banks didn't take technology and all of a sudden they had loan products. They already had loan products. They already had mortgages. It was just a way to get it to the customer. The unfortunate thing for insurance is, unlike banking, I go to a bank because I need a mortgage to pay for my children. I need a mortgage to pay for this. Those are immediate things. The insurance is, you're selling what if. And what if is a hard thing to sell. So in the innovation one, I think it's more around how do you get, not innovate the technology, but innovate the kind of products that get people to say, I need that. Because as soon as they say, I need that, then you increase your penetration. You get people saying, you get people banging down your door saying, where do I sign? Where do I sign? And I think that would be my comment in terms of how do you get more of what Jean Bosco said, the insurers to think around innovating products and not just saying, let's get this technology in, it will help us. No, it won't.
Thank you, Philip, for that contribution. A great way to look at it. You want to add something?
I love a contribution. And that is why. So innovation and technology and all that indeed come in to help you answer the question, am I addressing the need? And that's why I made, a light note about if all we are doing is around motor vehicle insurance, will you even have decision makers listen to you? How do you get relevant? How do you get influence? And how do you solve the problems? So going on to your mortgage story, there is an insurance cover that these insurance companies have that is supported by ZEP-RE that says, you know what, many people can afford, at the affordable housing level, can afford to pay a monthly rent or fee, We all live somewhere, so we pay the rent. But if you start telling me to raise 20% for me to access that mortgage, then I get excluded. And we have a product delivered on platforms that connects banks, insurance companies, and ourselves that guarantees the 20% so that the bank can give 105%. Not only 100, but the 5 that covers legal fees, that covers all that. And then somebody can access a home immediately. What does that mean? We now become relevant. That person will now come to you as an insurance company. And guess what? You get the insurance of the house, you get the insurance of the life and credit and accident and anything else and other asset. But you've embedded yourself where he has the need or she has the need. So this is the change mindset that we need in the industry. Are we solving the needs of the people? And then find ways to deliver it very effectively and costly. So those are some of the key success factors. And by the way, the solutions are there.
One point. I think that resonates with the saying in the insurance industry that goes that insurance is sold, not bought. So, and that's known. And I would say that I think there's a level of awareness that needs to be created. And when it goes to awareness, some of the times we look at the public sector to raise that awareness. But I'll give you an example in South Africa. The insurers in South Africa contribute a certain portion of their bottom line and put that in the association, actually to do insurance education of the mass. TV, radio, it's there. It's funded, it's always there. When you go to South Africa, you always see something around insurance on TV, on radio, you will see it. But someone has just contributed 0.something% to that fund to educate, because when they're educated, they know they'll come. By the way, the other thing is that let's not say that these people are the low-income people or people that are not clients of insurers. They have some risk mitigations. Whenever there's a risk, you know, I mean, you don't have a funeral cover. What happens when you have someone you love that you've lost? What happens? We fundraise, isn't it? Don't you contribute? So, but really, aren't we copying? Yet there is a product which is less expensive that we can all pay that premium and majority is covered. But really, I think it's there. They understand the risk mitigation. If you sell risk mitigation of risks that they are facing every day, they will buy it because they will see the need and they will understand that you are coming to help. But you need to develop a level of trust because trust is not there some of the times. Thank you.
Thank you for that contribution as well. Any other person who has something they'd like to add on? We have a hand here at the front.
Thanks. Mine isn't a question either. It's also a comment. Our colleague from Access to Finance talked about data. I'm Joseph. I'm from the Rwanda Space Agency, which is nothing insurance, nothing banking. But I'd like to start by giving an example. All of you who live in Rwanda are aware of the volcanic eruption at Nyiragongo, which happened about 2 years ago. And you know, this was mainly a disaster case, a disaster management case. But in the background, the government was actually using satellite imagery to assess how bad, you know, the volcanic damage was actually happening, even at the house level, by just monitoring the cracks of a house and seeing if the cracks are increasing, if the cracks are decreasing, the direction that they are taking, even integrating the direction of the ash that was coming from the volcanic eruption, right? Which was really taking a northwest direction just because of the trajectory of the winds. I see a lot of synergies to what you mentioned about the need for data. And I guess mine is a shameless plug to just say, is it possible for you to integrate working with non-traditional finance sectors, like those of us who are in the satellite imagery business? Because whether it's from an underwriting perspective, which I think is of value to you, whether it's just verification of some of these claims that come to your desk, I think being able to, the difference between satellite imagery and drone imagery or area imagery, for example, is you can go back in time. We can still get a satellite image for 20 years ago. And we help, for example, ministries trying to see who is building within a wetland zone, or who actually built up a structure after the law to not build within a wetland zone happened. I like giving an example of the mining sector, which was supporting right before COVID. We're trying to support the Rwanda Mining Board in understanding where is illegal mining activity happening. And so you go and get a picture of a mine you already know. So they get you the mining concession zones, and you map out and try to see, where am I seeing this pattern happening elsewhere in the country? And you just work backwards and take out the zones that are not in the concession zones. And that's where your illegal mines are happening. The difference is, in Rwanda, people actually follow the rules very well. So you didn't find a lot of illegal mining activity. The problem was actually we now needed to rephrase the question. A lot of the issues were actually people who already had the mining permits, but the fine to, for example, plant a tree, which is the obligation when they mine, was too little. I just pay $500 and I can mine as much. I don't have to pay to plant the tree. I see a lot of synergies with your need for data, and I guess our question even for the startups that we'll see is it possible for you to integrate some of these non-traditional finance sectors, right? I know you're looking at underwriting from a risk portfolio, but maybe we can also provide some of the data. And maybe I'll end by just giving an example to, if I was just speaking Greek today, you can just look up CatNet. This is ZEP-RE, but there's a Swiss company called ZEPRE, and I think they're well known for using the CatNet software in utilizing some of these satellite imagery things.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. I think if there is anyone on the panel who would like to maybe add on something to that, feel free.
I could add on, insurance is actually about data. Even the traditional business, we are not doing a good job at data. But the teams here will tell you, when we talk about pricing and all that, you really need data. And as we get into IFRS 17, it's very, very critical, the new reporting standard for insurers. So that's another investment that we need to make. I guess if we didn't bring that up strongly enough, it is very important. But we are actually in the space of using satellite data. So when we do the climate solutions that we are providing, and I guess you saw on the screens at some point that we are ensuring pasturists in the Horn of Africa, you can only do that using satellite data. Index products that are happening, including in Rwanda as well in the agriculture sector, is data. What I really love is that we are maybe now being able to develop the skills and capabilities to mine that data ourselves, because it is very, very expensive. I mean, today the data that we use in the Drive project, that Horn of Africa project, costs us about 3% of the premium. That's very, very high. So for Africa to be able to get its own satellite data, make it usable, will be a big, big shift. And yes, there is room to work together. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we're going to wrap up this panel discussion. If you could kindly give a warm round of applause to our amazing panelists. I do see one more hand in the audience. Comment or question? Okay, let's hear it, and then after that we'll wrap up real quick.
Thank you. I'll try and keep it brief. My name's Mike Ndimurukundo. I serve at Andela, so skills development, talent, if you're looking for software developers, I'm your plug. So first off, to all the panelists, thank you for educating us. I'm building on what John Bosco said in terms of what other insurers do to educate the masses. My hope, as we're about to get into the demo sessions with the startups, is that they are products that serve the masses. Because a lot of times we tend to solve the same thing. And then I think what Hope said earlier, where the insurers always deal with the usual problems. I'll give an example. At the moment, I'm dealing with my staff being mad at me because I no longer pay 10% of their health insurance. Not because I didn't want to pay that, but because the Insurers Association decided, I think as a risk mitigation measure, that people should contribute their own money. But I wasn't consulted. Meanwhile, that is something I use to retain the best staff. Making sure I give them really good health coverage, making sure that people don't have to worry about it. Now, if you're a single guy or a single woman, you don't have a problem. But if it's someone with a family and 3 or 4 kids, it's a different cost that they never planned for. And all of a sudden, you're having to explain a lot of things. So that's why I said it could go either way. So one, my hope is that with the startups, with the innovators that we have, people are actually dealing with issues that are going to serve the people, but also building on what John Bosco said, what are we doing to educate the people? Maybe there was a need for that to be raised, but I don't know how to explain. The best I can do is to say, send me the statement that they sent you, and then I just forward the documents. But at the end of the day, whenever someone goes to pay, they do not feel like this is good. And then it could easily introduce other issues, because all of a sudden, if you're an employer and you're trying to do right by your staff, you could tell them, okay, the 10%, give me receipts. This is when some people will start, yeah, Kevin is shaking his head. This is when some people will start manufacturing receipts to be able to justify that. So it's things like that where I'm like, what do we do so that the two audiences are able to interact and the solutions that are provided really serve a good purpose? Thank you.
Any person who would like to maybe answer a bit of the...
Maybe I'll take that, considering on the panel, I'm one of the health insurer. So Mike, I think it's a good question and it's a real problem in the market. And I think this is a challenge to all the insurance, that at the end of the day, this is what I was referring to. Are we really talking to our customers to understand what do they need? And I can tell you, if that's what you need, tell your insurance to give it to you, or simply find another solution, because that's what you want. And if you're able to cover it, why should there be a hindrance? Because at the end of the day, it's going to impact the productivity of your staff. So, and this is a dialogue we need to keep bringing on the table. Let the consumer have a voice. And how do we get to close and come close, to mitigate the risks? Because we have various ways to mitigate whatever that makes that 10% not to happen. So I would say, being the insurer on the table, please come, we can fix that for you, because that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, thank you. I think we're going to wrap up this panel discussion. A very big thank you to all our panelists. Kindly give them a warm round of applause as they exit the stage. Yes, you could have a group picture. Thank you all. Once again, a very big thank you to Nick, Hope, Jean Bosco, as well as Kevin for a very informative panel discussion that really creates a perfect transition. We're now going to get into the next pitches. We're going to hear pitches from the final 5 selected startups under the ZEP-RE InsurTech program. Alice, earlier on when she was delivering the welcome remarks, she really did give us a bit of background, and she told us how about 91 applications were received. They participated in a 3-day hackathon, and the team that progressed went through the incubation process, and they also got mentorship as well. So it has indeed been a journey of growth as well as exposure for these finalists. And as we receive the final pitches, I'd like to mention that we have a total of about $30,000 in cash prize that will be awarded to the top 3 startups. We're going to also have a jury of 4 judges who are going to help us in making the selection. And I'd like to introduce the jury. Up first, we have Alex. I'll start with you. We have Alex Ntade, the CEO of the ICT Chamber. If you could just wave to the people so that they can get to see you. We also have Felix Gasatura, the Managing Director, Catapult Africa, to the people. You get your 1 minute of fame today. We have Joanna Nicholas, CEO, East African Investments. And also, finally, we have Thomas Inyako, Information System Officer at ZEPRE. 1 minute of fame, Tom. Yeah, so now our 5 finalists, we're going to hear from Liner Finance, Karisimbi Technologies, Smart Ichijega, E-Arbitrator, and Pharmajo. As they come up on stage, they'll have 5 minutes each to take us through the pitch, and then we'll also have a few minutes for Q&A from the jury. Please just welcome them to the stage with a warm round of applause. Yeah? Give them the energy that they'll need to go through this. So, finalists, are you ready? Finalists, are you ready? Yes? Okay. Up first, we have Liner Finance. Oh, we're starting with Karisimbi instead, okay? We have Karisimbi Technologies.
Of Karisimbi. At Karisimbi, what we are doing is bridging, solving the problem of data management that we've spoken about today. And the way how we are doing that is essentially through, right, please. Okay, thank you. So the way how we are doing that is through a web application that is used by healthcare service providers, to first of all capture all the patient's data in a digital format, and then use that data, to process insurance claims. So basically, they send their claims to insurers in real time at a very affordable, cost. It seems like okay. So our vision is to basically change the medical insurance landscape. And the problems we are solving include, number one, excuse me, I think this is not working. Sorry? Oh, they'll move it for me, okay. Oh, at the back? I think I'm not lucky. Okay, okay. So please go to the previous slide. All right, so we have many problems in the medical insurance sector, but we, at Karisimbi, what we are doing with Sana Health is that we are focusing on 3 major problems. Number one is solving the amount of turnaround time it takes insurers to process claims. For now, it's where we've seen the shortest amount of time was a month. but in some cases that we've experienced, service providers spent 18 months without getting payment from insurance companies. It had become a very big problem that to the point that the Association of Healthcare Facilities in Rwanda decided to cut ties with some insurance companies, I think 2 years ago. And the second biggest problem is the high loss ratio in the medical insurance sector, which is due to, over-prescribing done by service providers, care overuse by patients, but also a high level of fraud. Some reports say that in East Africa, about 30% or up to 30% of the healthcare spending is lost through fraud. So we did some analysis and realized that it's about $500 million in the 5 countries of East Africa, Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, and DRC. And the other problem that we want to tackle in the near future is the low penetration of insurance, because in those 5 countries, it's actually about 1% of penetration. Next slide, please. So the solution is Sana Health. We called it Sana Health. It's a web application that is used by healthcare service providers, and it solves, number one, it solves the problem of data visibility and quality. It also reduces fraud, and it increases operational efficiency. Next slide, please. We target 2 segments, as you might have guessed already. So number one is the service provider side, and the other side is the insurer side. And we think that we shall make money mostly from the insurance side because that's where there are many problems. Yeah. And we did some calculations. We realized that, next slide please. So by charging a monthly subscription fee to both sides, we have the potential to make about $15 million revenue every year in the next 5 years. Next slide, please. So how Sana Health works basically is that it's installed on the side of the medical service provider, and there is also a dashboard, next slide please, for medical insurers to access those data in real time. Service providers use Sana Health to capture every single information of the patient. Next slide, please. And also, while the patient is being treated, every time that there is, an expense that is billed to the patient, automatically the insurer can access the data in real time, and they can also settle claim in real time. Next slide, please. So we've done a lot of work. We started in July 2020. That's when we launched the MVP. Fast forward, we won one of Hunger Pitch Fest, which is a startup competition, national one. And we also managed to work with actual service providers who are paying us. And we also have discussed with insurance companies, and we already have one insurance company signed. And we were also blessed to expand in Uganda. We found a market there as well. And it's very clear that across East Africa, we have an opportunity to provide our services. Another very good thing that happened is that we partnered with the government of Rwanda in official capacity to digitize public healthcare institutions. And another major thing is that joining the ZEP-RE program really was a major step ahead. Next slide, please. So some of our plans for the future is, number one, grow to many healthcare facilities, many service providers, also grow our revenue, and we also want to put the power in the hands of the households or the patients through a mobile application. Next slide, please. We have competitive advantages. Number one is that our platform is easy to use. It was designed through user-centered design. We also have ongoing lifetime customer support, and we are very affordable. We also have strong partnerships on either side, both on the service provider side, insurer side, and reinsurer side with ZEPRE, on the government. And we also have some strong partnerships there. Next slide, please. I don't do this alone. I have a team of a diverse team. Myself, I'm the CEO. I have a background in engineering and business. I also have Mr. Dr. Paul Balinda as an advisor. We also have a team of salespeople, accountants, customer support. Next slide, please. And overall, the engineering team who are really, really experienced. Next slide, please. And speaking of team, I would like to thank very much Andela. I highly recommend them to other startups and other companies that are trying to hire very good quality talent at, at easily and also at a fraction of the cost, I would say. And we are seeking, so we are seeking investment. We've done a lot of work, we've developed the software, but we want to grow. We want to grow and we are seeking this amount of money. We have already an investor on board from the US. They are called Plug and Play. They are on board, they're interested. We also invite other investors here in the room to come and join us to change, to build the future today, not tomorrow. Next slide, please. And I thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation.
Do we have any question from the jury?
Yes, please. Thank you very much for your presentation. I have no sense of the sort of volumes and margins in this business. So if I were to make an investment, at what point do you start breaking even? At what point do you start being profitable?
So if we get the investment now, my calculation is that after 18 months, we shall start being profitable. Yes. Because now we are almost about to break even with the little investment that we've received here and there, but 18 months guaranteed.
And if I may, a second question. In what way is your solution different to that of your competitors?
Thank you. So one of the things I saw that our competitors, we have a few competitors who are highly commendable, but one of the things I saw that they don't focus on is number one, partnerships and the user friendliness of their solutions. But we are very big on partnerships. We partnered with the Ministry of ICT, the Ministry of Health, reinsurers, insurers, and also healthcare facilities through their associations and on an individual level.
Hi, Angelo. I wanted to ask, I don't know if I missed this, but how many public hospitals are you in at the moment? And what has been the challenge so far?
At the moment, we haven't launched in the public sector yet. The biggest challenge was that we were supposed to build a few modules to accommodate the public sector, but also there is a challenge of equipment, hardware, which is what we plan to use through the investment, help basically these hospitals acquire good internet, because internet is a medium of delivery of our product. So for now, fiber is not yet in rural areas, but thank to God we have, and thank to the Ministry of ICT and the government of Rwanda, there is a Starlink in Rwanda. We've been experimenting it. We have 2 kits, so that's what we want to use the money for primarily.
Okay. Any question from the jury?
You said the problem you're solving is long turnarounds?
Yes.
And low penetration?
Yes, later.
That's 2 sides of the coin. Which one is it?
So for now...
Because a problem either solves the efficiency or drives revenue. What you've described here mainly does efficiency. So I'm not yet sure how this drives penetration.
Thank you. So number one, this will lead into, in long term, this will lead to increased penetration because overall we shall have data. And from data you can easily innovate. For example, in our experience we saw that for patients who come to hospitals that use our solution, at least 50% of them are paying out of pocket. The revenues might be a little bit, not evenly distributed in that sense, but we saw that many of them are actually paying out of pocket, and we have access to those data, and I think there is an opportunity to increase the penetration to these people who are underserved in an ethical and friendly way.
Okay. I think because of time, I think, thank you so much, Angelo, but before you also go, we'll ask all the finalists, what is the one thing that you've learned from your experience during the ZEP-RE program?
Huh. So it's a question I didn't expect, but ZEP-RE we've been through so many incubators, probably more than 6. ZEP-RE is, at the top of the programs that have been helpful to us because they listen to you. They don't come saying, hey, we know this and we know that and this is what you should do. They tell you, how do you think we can support you? And Vestavelle has also been a fantastic partner into this program, really.
Okay, thank you so much, Angelo. A big round of applause to Angelo with Karisimbi Technologies.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Up next, we're going to get a pitch from Smart Ichijega. If we could give them a round of applause as they walk up to the stage. And we'll give the judges 2 questions, and we'll also get the final question, comment on their experience.
Have you ever invested your money and effort in something, expecting to get money? Then what if an incident comes and destroys it, then you ended up losing everything? I'm sure that you understand how painful the situation is. And this pain is the same pain that farmers face once their crop meets with disasters or any climate change effect. That's why in Smart Ichijega, we are building an inclusive agriculture insurance through digitalization. Hello everyone, I'm called Joseine Nisingizwe, CEO and co-founder of Smart Ichijega. Before telling you why and how we are doing this, let me start with a short story. This is me 17 years ago, living in the village with my family. Our daily life was farming. And this was the way of revenue for my family and other neighborhood farmers. So one day we wake up, a heavy rain came and took away our harvest. It was potato harvest. And this has caused the big loss for my family and other farmers. So seeing how much effort we have invested in cultivating, cultivating requires much effort, and seeing how we ended up begging or asking help from everyone, this has created the spirit in me. That's when I grow up, I do something to help farmers to recover themselves once they meet with such incidents. I didn't know how to do that, but now I'm using technology to solve this issue. So while I was growing, I have seen that farmers are meeting with the limited digital accessibility. And this also creates like a problem to access insurance. So that's why we decided to solve those 3 main problems. The first problem is lack of information about agriculture insurance products. Where from the research, it has shown that only 14% of farmers across Africa knows about agriculture insurance products and knows how they can acquire them. So there is a big gap between insurance providers and farmers. They need someone to tell them about that. There is also lack of real data of production for insurance providers in agriculture, where most of farmers are still using manual method while they are saving their data, means harvest their production, which make it hard for insurance provider when they are going to provide the insurance. And it costs them too much doing estimation, doing mapping. The third problem we are solving is low access to the financial service in general. Like, there is no way farmer can access direct loan basing on their data. These come also on the data. And also there is post-harvest loss, which is with that problem. So to solve this, we have come up with Smart Ichijega, which I can call it like a digital farmer service center, making sure that a farmer can find one service every service at one platform. It's a web and USSD-based platform where firstly the farmer come and record their harvest, or they can sort their production, and those data are saved using digital identity called farmer code. That's where we start doing data decentralization. Farmer can access their data anytime, and any partners or shareholders in agriculture can access those data. There is also, for this data decentralization, we solve two problems: lack of real data and also lack of financial service, because through the data, we leverage the data to help farmers to access the direct loans, and also through our platform they can transact cashless payments. So our business revenue, we do subscription. We do subscription. There is pay as you buy for those people, big companies who are buying from farmers, and there is commission fees. Because for now we are not insurance providers, so we are giving the insurance providers client and we get commission from there. Our competitive advantage is that for us, we are like allowing farmers to interact with their data easily and to get like many services at a time. It makes it easy. I might come as a farmer wanting the market and then end up seeing that I need insurance. This can motivate me. And the way we work hand in hand with farmer facilitates us to get real data, which is low cost. Of course, we have some more traction. So far, we have worked with 2,500 farmers across the country, and we are growing day by day. Of course, this is the team, and we are asking 200,000 USD for 10% of equity.
Okay, thank you so much, Jocelyn. Any questions from the jury? We're taking only 2 questions from the jury.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Sorry, I hope this doesn't sound negative. This is a B2C business, a business-to-customer business. Is that right? So you, in order to get enough customers onto your platform, you have to change the behavior and the mentality of farmers across Rwanda. Changing people's behavior and mentality is really, really hard. And it takes a really long time. Do you have a plan for how you're going to do that?
Yeah, of course we do that. We started doing field marketing with farmers, where we approach them starting from the local leaders, then we go through the cooperatives, the independent farmers, then we conduct the field marketing where we train them about digitalization. So because our platform is digital, so training them about digitalization, this shows them that we are with them. That's why they start subscribing. They have trust in us.
Around the data that you collect, you haven't talked about the financial institutions who come for that data. Who are you working with?
Financial institution?
Yes, you said one of the problems you're solving is lack of data for financial institutions.
Yeah, so far being in this program of ZEPRE has helped us to approach some financial service, but so far we have not yet signed. We are having some conversation regarding, because if it's business, sometimes it requires having more conversation, but we have 2 of them who are ready to sign, like in the coming 1 month. It will not, 1 month.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn. Before you leave the stage, do share with us the one thing you have learned from your experience under the ZEP-RE InsurTech program.
Yeah, as I mentioned, the ZEP-RE, they work with us hand with hand, knowing everyone's needs. So they even allowed us to connect with big financial institution company that we were not able to approach on ourselves. So it increased our recognition.
Thank you so much. That was Jocelyn with Smarty Chijega. Up next, we have E-Arbitrator. A round of applause as he takes the stage.
The basis and the heart of any business relationship is a contract. In insurance, it's called a policy. But at the end of this policy or this contract is a very important clause that is often ignored. And that clause is the dispute resolution clause. And it outlines what to do in the event that something goes wrong in a contract. And if you've ever done business, you know something will go wrong. In insurance, something does go wrong, and it affects customers. When a customer has to resolve that dispute, they have to look for a lawyer. After getting that lawyer, they have to file paperwork, then chase that lawyer down and say, what's the update? What's the status of my case? Two, it affects the internal departments at insurance companies, financial companies, because not only are they dealing with one litigation case, they're probably dealing with dozens or hundreds from many different, maybe it's an IP case, maybe it's a land issue. And third, there's regulators. The regulators have come after the insurance and the financial sector for them to solve these disputes quickly. And not only that, regulation is being stipulated that cases should not be solved in litigation, but through arbitration and mediation. My name is Angelo Quelli, and I'm the CEO of E-Arbitrator, where we build and deploy tools that digitize the entire process of dispute resolution. And we do this using 3 very simple tools. The first tool that we've built is a case management portal. This case management portal allows all the users, the internal legal team, the customer, to submit their case, submit their legal documents, submit evidence, submit payments. So everything goes into one portal that's searchable by all parties. 2, we have access to a global network of legal advisors, legal experts. Currently, our portal has over 1,265 legal experts. And so finding the right lawyer is very hard. Maybe you have a land issue, you're looking for somebody in land. Maybe it's an insurance problem. Maybe it's something that's very complex, like Bitcoin. Maybe you're trying to register a company in Rwanda. How do you find the right legal expert to help you across these multiple jurisdictions? So our platform has access to 1,200 legal experts from across Africa. Kigali is looking to be a center for doing business. So to do business, you have to attract and be able to access a wide network of legal expertise. Thirdly, we give access to data and analytics. So if you can imagine yourself as an insurance company, you want to know what's happening, what's the status of a case, where are these cases coming from. That's the third product that we do give. The benefits, number 1, is an enhanced customer experience. You have, I was going to say a happy customer, but you have a happier customer. It cannot be perfect when you're dealing with legal issues. 2, regulatory compliance. Right now you have, if you're a financial insurance business, you have 2 regulators. There's the BENER, and now there's the Data Privacy and Protection Act that you have to comply with. So our platform helps you with that. Also do fraud detection and trust improvement, access to legal expertise, and cost efficiency and time. We are seeking $275,000 in equity investment for market and product growth to help us do our operations, hire more talent, and customize our product for the insurance industry. This is our team and a sample of some of our arbitrators. So our long-term, right now we are focused on bringing efficiency. Getting legal advice is extremely difficult. Right now we're solving for efficiency. But our long-term plan is to actually turn to turn this into a product, legal insurance. It's done in many other places. And so you can imagine if you take out a mortgage, for instance, or you're doing construction, but then you have legal insurance that covers you in case of a dispute. So that's our ultimate goal. And I'm here urging insurance companies to join us on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelo. Question from the jury?
Thanks, Angelo. You're seeking for 275 for product growth. I'm wondering what's your current revenue status? Are you making any money?
Yes, we are. Currently, this year we've made about 35,000. And mostly from subscriptions, yes.
If you don't mind, just an average, how many months have you been operating, and what's the average MRR, monthly recurring revenue?
Average MRR is about $4,000 from subscriptions.
As an investor, of course, if I were interested in investing, I also need to exit at some point in the future. What would be an exit for a business like this? Who would buy you in 5 years' time?
Oh, who would?
Or would you buy back my shares from me?
Well, we're hoping that at the end, probably in 2 years, when we have maturity, we have enough data that we can now offer legal insurance, an embedded legal insurance product. So I would say 2 years, but I think that 2 years, we probably need more money too, because legal insurance is not cheap.
Sorry, I guess I mean, in this business, you said that in other countries it's very common for people to be selling legal insurance. What does this business look like? What does the market look like in other countries where this is more mature? What kind of huge company would buy your company, adding it as a service offering?
Okay. So in Germany, there's a company called DAS, D-A-S, and they offer legal insurance. And I believe they've made 385 million in premiums underwritten for legal insurance. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Angelo. Before you exit, just tell us one thing that you have learned from your experience under the ZEP-RE InsurTech program.
To be honest, I think I'm enjoying working with insurance, but they could be more innovative. They could try us. There's no, you won't fail.
Thank you, Angelo. Thank you. That was Angelo with E, arbitrator. Up next, we have Farmajo. A round of applause as they also come on stage.
Hello, everyone. Greetings. It's my pleasure to present to you Famoja. And my name is Bruce Mutangana. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Famoja Limited. We are on a mission to transform the InsurTech for the insurance for agriculture. Normally, as we have heard here, the insurance for agriculture is still expensive and risky. And this is due to a lack of accurate data. And there's still limited awareness and understanding of insurance need among farmers. And normally also the insurance companies, they are still doing it manually. They are still, when there is a claim, they're still doing loss assessment manually. And they are only relying on one source of information. Those are, in agriculture, on historical farm production. And this market that is, as Swiss Re has mentioned, it's expected to reach 8 billion by 2030, but there's still as low penetration in our countries, as we have said, as low as 1%. And this is where we are coming in as Famoja. At Famoja, using IoT devices, AI tools, and machine learning to help farmers collect real-time soil data, to help them, and we leverage on those information that we are collecting to provide agronomic recommendations to farmers on the good practices they can do to increase the yield in terms of quality and quantity. And on the other hand, we are helping insurance companies leveraging on the data that we are collecting. We provide trends and insight to insurance companies on the insurance, on the real-time change that is happening on the farm. these are the types of the information that we are collecting. We are using our IoT devices to collect soil moisture, temperature, using the sensor devices that we are using. We are also doing the mapping of farms, farm locations, and including crop type, crop rotations, and also historical farm yield. And we're also leveraging on weather forecasting, as we have heard from our colleague there. And all this information we are collecting, in turn, we believe that it will help insurance companies do better risk assessment and also underwrite their policies. And we also want insurance companies to leverage on the data that we are collecting to build insurance product, to bring more innovations and build insurance products such as weather-based index insurance, and also avoid, as I mentioned, they still they spend more time in doing the loss assessment, like they wait till a farmer makes a claim to go and do it on site. So we want to help them avoid those costly on-site damage verification. And those farmers that are using our technology, they have competitive advantage over those who are relying on traditional way of providing insurance product. Our vision is to become the leading company and the agronomic shop, a shop for agronomic data that will help insurance companies and other actors in agriculture sector. We started by collecting soil moisture, temperature, and then we're moving toward sending our data to the cloud. We're moving toward doing yield predictions and also building a big data platform. Next. Our target market, they are insurance companies, financial institutions, and also farmers as our primary people that we work with. The way we generate money is by selling our data to insurance companies through subscription model, and also getting share the revenue on the way we are going to help them increase their customer base and also revenue. But we also sell our hardware devices that we deploy into soil to ensure the accuracy of the data that we are collecting. Currently, we are working on an IoT precision farming project that helps rice farmers to increase the yield per acre, and we've been able to collect 46,000. That helped us building the first versions of our prototypes and deploy them into farms. We built a partnership with several leading tech companies in the world, like Google Startups for SDGs, and built a partnership with farmers cooperatives that has increased our customer base. We are the right team to provide this solution because myself, Bruce Mutangana, I'm an agriculture engineer, but also has a background into business administration. My co-founder, Benjamin Gisa, he is an agriculture conservationist. And we also have a team of people that we are working with, including Fidel Niitanga, Florence Mohoza, who are irrigation engineer and agriculture economist. And last, we have two tech people, two tech gurus, including Patience Dusabe and Emile Musoni, who are both electrical and computer engineer and software developer. So we are here requesting for 200,000 USD that will help us through mass production of our devices, running a pilot project as we aim to scale across Rwanda, but also across COMESA countries, hiring new talents, research and development, and also training the farmers about a new technology, but also helping them understanding the insurance products. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have a question.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
Thank you for your presentation. Two questions. How much does it cost you to create your device? And what reason would you give to insurance companies here today why they should work with you rather than Joseph, who made the shameless plug when he was speaking to the panel?
All right. First of all, it costs us 240 USD, and we sell it at $400 US. And why insurance companies would work with me instead of, maybe he's going to pitch on his side, but I believe that first it's the accuracy of the data. Normally, the availability of data that we have, it's coming from the satellite, and also, as we are collecting real-time data, as we are setting our devices into the soil, we're getting the real-time on the ground, real-time data on the ground. That means the accuracy of the data that we are collecting is very high compared to others. So that's why I believe that as insurance companies, as you're providing your product or writing policies, I believe that accuracy of the information you have is that very important. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go to your traction page, which shows $150,000 in device IoT precision farming project. Is that are those sales? Is that revenue?
It's a project that has value of $150,000 US. We are working on it. We are in Nyagatare district. That helps rice farmers, rice producers to increase the yield, but also introducing something called precision farming.
So how much have you sold so far?
How much of the devices?
Yes.
Okay, I mentioned this because this is one of the main projects that we are working with, but we've been selling our devices to smallholder farmers. So we've been able to sell 26 devices. That's what we did. Thank you.
Okay, before you exit the stage, maybe share with us your experience. What is the one thing you learned working with the ZEP-RE InsurTech program?
Thank you so much. It has been a great experience and very challenging on our side because they helped us view in a broader way. We entered into ZEPRE program having a narrow-minded set, but they helped us to look even beyond building for Rwanda, but also building for Africa in general.
Thank you. Round of applause for Moja. Up next, we have Lina Finance. There will be our final pitch for this evening. A warm round of applause.
Good evening. I'm Tony from Lina Finance. So in the market, everything is prepaid, which means if you want to buy anything, you have to pay in cash or full price. While we know 76% of our market consists of informally employed people, which means affordability is a problem. But it is also a problem even for the employed. Now the second part is when you focus on the insurance industry, there is the unhealthy competition between banks and the pre-existing brokers and insurance agents. So now the question is, how do we address affordability to drive insurance penetration? So we designed a digital platform that enables cash and credit payment for insurance products. It's accessible through USSD and WhatsApp channels, and it allows daily, weekly, or monthly payments for insurance purchases. And in addition to that, we entice customers to pay for their debts earlier because then they get a discount on the interest for the future interests. How do we achieve this? So we partner with service providers and extend our digital financing platform that gives instant credit decision. We use blockchain and AI technology to build data integrity and customer profiles. It's fully digital, no need for collaterals or guarantees, and it is fully Sharia compliant. So now, in the market, the only channel that allows you to buy insurance and pay on credit is only through banks. But through Lina Finance, we are creating the most inclusive insurance marketplace for everyone to access insurance purchases on credit. We are projecting by year 2025 to have at least 6 million recurring customers annually, while maintaining the cost of customer acquisition under $1. And currently, we're in the final stages of securing a partnership, a regional partnership with EcoBank, as well as Sanlam Insurance. I have a clicker moment here, but anyway. So our vision is to enable credit-based payment into any purchases while making the financial products accessible and affordable. We've done a pilot, and we can statistically show that we are able to increase the insurance uptake up to 40%. So we've done the proof of concept, and we have reached the product market fit. Currently, we are in the scaling phase, and now that's why we've entered Rwandan market. So Line of Finance was founded by 3 founders, and currently we employ around 21 people. And we are raising $500,000 in exchange either for debt or equity. Thank you.
Questions from the jury?
Tony, I like the product. My question is on credit. Someone's paying. Who's paying this case here?
So, actually, thank you for that question. I think I'm going to shine with that. So, that is the role of the bank that we've connected with. Previously, we were financing on our own balance sheet, and we realized the demand is way higher than what we could have handled. And we tested in Tanzania with one of the smallest insurance company, and we realized the demand is higher than what we could handle. So that's why, thank you actually to ZEP-RE and Westerveld, because when we participated into the hackathon and we managed to win and enter the Rwandan market, we realized that we don't need to think about Tanzania alone. It's a common problem, not just in Tanzania, but across East Africa and Africa. So that's why we started chasing for the regional partnership with the banks, and that we were looking for only Pan-African banks, and we've succeeded with EcoBank so far. Thank you.
I was hesitating because I just want to make sure I've understood your business model. So you're a reseller of services from banks and insurance companies. Is that right? Therefore, if you're selling to individual customers, you have a similar challenge I was talking about earlier. You're a B2C business. Is that correct? You're selling to individuals or you're selling to businesses?
So our customers, so if you look at that structure, the top part, these are insurance customers, and they have multiple channels to buy insurance from. They can buy either from a bank, they can buy from an insurance agent or broker, or directly to an insurance company. So in the absence of line of finance, these customers would go and buy and we're not involved. But we decided to embed credit into that transaction. That's when we are able to create that inclusive marketplace. And previously, as I said, we used to finance it ourselves, and we realized it's not the most flexible model for scaling. That's why we partner with the bank. So most likely, the same bank that is selling insurance to their customers, it is the same bank that is financing insurance to other insurance, other channels like insurance agents and brokers, as well as mobile money channels. Did I answer your question?
I think so, yes, thank you.
Okay, before you exit the stage, once again, what is the one thing you have learned from this whole experience?
Quite a lot, actually. I've learned the basics of Rwandan language, Murakoze, and so. But I think thinking from the bigger picture perspective in terms of our markets are quite common. There's a lot of similarities within East Africa. When you look at Tanzania, we look at Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, all of these markets, we share common problems. And the biggest thing we see is that for startups, fintechs, it's really hard to be trusted. So through ZEPRE, when you just say I'm coming under the introduction of ZEPRE and Westerveld, it actually eases a lot of discussions. And we are taken very serious out of that. So at least I try to summarize, but I could have continued speaking again and again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. Thank you so much. We have heard from the five finalists, and before we get to know the winners, I'll just give the judges about 2 minutes. If you could kindly just step outside. The protocol have a place they've set up for you where you can deliberate, and within 2 minutes, guys, the timer is on as well. You'll be back here to give us the final verdict. And now, I'd like to welcome to the stage to give us the closing remarks, Hope Murera, the Managing Director and CEO of ZEP-RE. A round of applause as she comes to the podium to deliver the closing remarks.
Yeah, so thank you, everybody. A big round of applause again for our innovators. You brought us here. We are here because of you. You have inspired us. You have challenged us. And I think we'll be better because of you. So thank you so much. I would like to thank everybody here, the panelists, the judges in their absence, the insurance industry. Thank you so much for turning up in big numbers, the decision makers, because this is important for your lives. It's not just for your companies. Because at the end of the day, we all want to leave a legacy that is lasting. And yeah, I'm grateful to all that is happening. I'm grateful to the government of Rwanda for the enabling environment. I'm grateful that this space and this idea that we brought was received with warmth. It's been a year journey. We look to many, many more. This first session cost us about between $100,000 and $150,000. We are looking to doubling and tripling this in the coming years, but we seek your partnerships. Right? These are solutions for the industry, so please come on board. Some of these solutions that the innovators are talking can be a market investment. How do we improve the market, the access to insurance, the affordability, the relevance of us, you know, as industry players? Yeah, so I'm appealing to each one of you to be a participant, to get into this. I'm sure you can even get the money in bits and pieces, isn't it? You're even welcoming individual contributors. Right? Now I'm raising that for you. So my really short closing remarks is that as ZEPRE, we are committed to this. When we were set up 30 years ago, this was the vision that our founders had, including the government of Rwanda. And making our contribution is very important, but being a catalyst even more important, because we can't do much on our own. Okay? So an appeal to you, the call to action, to say, let this not be something we leave in this room. Let it something that picks up our brains and we say this is what we are going to do. There is a very good environment. Nick is doing a great job. Access to finance are doing a good job. Let's use all this. I mean, I'm always amazed when I come to Rwanda and the people I meet and what is going on. So bringing all this together, but at the end of the day, serving the need. Yeah, so that we remain relevant as an industry, so that when people talk about insurance, they are not talking about claims that were not paid, right? If there's one thing we all need to do is that, yes, these people paid when my farm was flooded. They paid when my child was sick. Things that make an impact on lives. So very grateful, very proud of all of you. Very encouraged. I think as I go back to my funders, I also have funders. I have a lot to tell them about how we can create bigger impact around this. Okay? So thank you again and have a good evening. Please stay. There's a cocktail, and that is important, because that is where now the mixing happens and the ideas come together and they become something bigger. Okay? So that is as important as sitting here and listening to these amazing people. So have a good evening.
Thank you so much. I think the judges are going to walk in now to just give us the final verdict. If we could have the judges kindly come.
this is what the DRIVE project envisaged. That is, if there's quick payout, then you encourage the next group of people to know that, well, this thing works actually. And the idea is that you're able to give them money to buy pasture, to buy fodder.
Horsiisee bulaatti maatii kiyyaallee qarorsiisee bula suniin guddise agongeen kuni nama jiruun akkas namatti hammaattee namni horii dhabe bakka akka malee tenshinii kee namni seenee jira.
Wakati ya kiangazi tunapata shida kubwa sana. Wakulima wafugaji, akaunti yetu ni ng'ombe ama mbuzi. Ng'ombe wameathirika, ni kama tumepoteza account na hatuna mwelekeo.
The project is designed as a package, provision for pastoralists in the country to have this integrated package for financial services, including the road index insurance, saving account, and digital payment network.
Kutoka nijisajili na niingie na nipate hiyo pesa, nimesaidika. Yale manyasi nimepata pesa ya kununua nayo ambayo ilikuwa naangalia na macho, nasaidika nyumbani pia kwa ng'ombe.
Okay, the judges are back. I think this is a very nerve-wracking moment for all our finalists, as well as exciting at the same time. To join, if we could have the jury, kindly, all of you, come up on stage. If we could have the jury come up on stage. Tom will take us through the whole process. I'm sure it wasn't an easy one.
Good evening, everybody. I want to take this time to thank everyone, thank the teams for presenting, and also thank the jury. And it has been a tough deliberation, but we are here to share the results. What we looked at is we looked at the feasibility, we looked at the business model, and we also looked at the impact that these ideas would have on the insurance market. I'm going to present the third team. She'll present the second team, and he'll present the first team. I'm going to ask Hope to join me on stage to share and give the checks.
Our three other panelists, yes. If you could also kindly join, if you could have Nick, Kevin, Jean Bosco, please come also join on stage. And with us, we also have the representative of the Rwanda Insurance Association, Annie Niwishaka. If you could also come join us on stage for this awarding moment. Okay, there she is.
Awesome. So what we'll do is, if we announce the winner, you will come up. One of the panelists will award you the check, and you'll take a picture with the team, and we'll go to the onto the next. Okay? Is that clear? Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to announce the third runner-up, Karisimbi Technology. I will invite Kevin to present the check. I will ask you guys to also join.
And in second place is E-Arbitrator. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is about the time that the power is supposed to go out. And then someone can walk away with the money. But it's with great pleasure to announce the winner, Liner Finance.
If we could now have all the winners, the runner-ups, kindly join in for a group picture as well. If we could have the other finalists to join in the group picture as well. Yes, please. Thank you all, and once again, congratulations to all the winners and all the finalists. I think this wraps up today's program. We thank you all for being attentive. We thank you all for being part of the conversation and continue supporting all the startups and young tech insurance enthusiasts. For now, we're going to enjoy a cocktail and entertainment outside. Thank you all. Have a lovely evening.
And deploy digital solutions through our InsurTech initiatives to make micro-insurance population. The company continues to support infrastructure projects in the areas of energy, roads, rail and communication to power and connect our cities and foster development. As part of core mandate to promote regional economic development, ZEP-RE currently manages the reinsurance pools of 2 key trade facilitation programs of COMESA, namely the Yellow Card and RCTG schemes. The Yellow Card is a regional third-party motor vehicle insurance scheme that provides third-party legal liability cover and compensation for medical expenses resulting from road traffic accidents caused by visiting motorists. The scheme is currently operational in 13 countries within the region and is being expanded to cover more countries in the region. The RCTG scheme facilitates a uniform basis for transit movement through the region by ensuring only one guarantee bond is utilized for the transit of goods